Hello guys, today I'm gonna be teaching you. Hold on. Today I'm gonna be teaching you how to make basic controls. So first make your level, and now you want to make your controller, your player controller. So you can either use this circle and then use a flower trigger to add a smiley face to it, because you can't move multiple objects with the move triggers we're gonna be using today. Or you could just leave this blank. Today I'm gonna be using a block. So first you wanna place down your block, and then you wanna go into here, into this weird hexagon, and click this arrow and place it to the right of the block. Now, we just so you know, we will be using event triggers, right? Like these. Now don't insert them yet. Go to this thing 5 and then place them down. Then go to the text. Bucket 5, there it is. And name this left button. Now if you have the text tag, which I obviously do. I mean, not obviously, I just have. So you can do left arrow slash left slash left slash no, you could just let's make this just left. And then we copy this and paste it over to the other side, and we name this right. Now basically how this is gonna work is this arrow this arrow is gonna rotate around this block on the grid. If you hold W or jump or mouse, if you just hold jump, it will go in that direction of the arrow. Yeah, that's how simple it is. So let's go to here. Let's go back to here. And now make both of these. Go into one of these and press this, and then go two times back. Over here, when you're here, you go 2 times to the back, and then there should be left push and right push. So you want left push, and make sure this is, I think, a spawn trigger and a multi trigger. No, we don't spawn trigger these. And now we just do the same to the right, but this time it's right push. Right here, right push. Now don't do. Now you will also be now the movement will be for both jump push and jump release. Why? Because that will just move our player away faster. Maybe I'll change my mind later. I'm not sure. Okay. So I have both of these. Now to make sure you indicate everything and don't just get really sidetracked, we will be placing these arrows so that we know what activates what. So first we want a spawn trigger. Here it is. Make sure it's a spawn trigger is spawn triggered for some reason, and make sure it's also a multi trigger. Now make this some kind of group. I'll make it 5. Now I mostly make my trigger groups multiple numbers, so I'll do 19. And in here you set this to 19. Now don't have to add groups to the event triggers. And here you want to insert the group ID of the rotate trigger, which we place now. Make sure it's spawn triggered and also multi-trigger. And then we want this to be moving 0 if okay, hold on. I want this to be moving at 0. Why? Because it will just snap. If you want a smooth movement, you could do arrows, but that would just mess up the movement if you're really fast with moving forward. So 0 will be perfect. Now set the degrees here to -90 because this is the left sector. This is the left, and yeah, basically yeah. Now we want the target group ID to be 2 and the center group ID 1 because we will set this to group ID 1 and this to group ID 2. Did I say it correctly? Yes. So rotate the arrow, which is group ID 2, around the center of the block, which is group ID 1. So basically rotate around the block 90 degrees. Now we just need to copy both of these to the other side and make sure you give the rotate trigger also a group, which I'll add 4, 5. This will be 20. Here we do 20. And the rotate trigger, we will add 5, 5. 5, 5. And then here we do 5, 5. Not 6, 6, 5, 5. And now, if we just play test it, you can see we're going. Now, we want to actually be in platformer mode for this, so that we stop moving. But as you can see, if we move, we are still like doing stuff. We are still moving around the thing. And we don't want that, obviously. Now, hold on. I actually forgot to set this rotate trigger to +90, so it rotates right around the block. This one rotates left around the block. This one rotates right about around the block. Now you have this. And the rotation so far works, but as you can see, we're moving. We don't want that. And if we disable player 1 controls, it will just stop working. So yeah. So we actually want to have invisible blocks around the player so that they stop from moving. We just select all the blocks that we made in this arch shape. If you didn't make it now, then go to edit group extra up here, and then go to hide. Okay, and boom. What? Hold on. They're hide. They're hidden. What? Huh? Hold on. Did I just? Let me see something. No. No, so good. I have no idea why it's like this. Hold on. Yeah, what the hell? Why aren't they hidden? The hell? Hold on. I'm gonna try to make it from a different block, and let's see if it works this time. What the heck? Why does it work? Let's see if it's hidden. I mean, it's hidden. Yeah, it's hidden. Okay, so let's just ignore it. For you, it'll probably just be hidden. The editor before me is just dots, so let's ignore it. Alright. We have the basics working. Now we just need the movement when we jump. Now let's go to this group 5 and I'll copy the text add event. Told you I changed my mind about the touch trigger and then move it in between these and change this to jump. So here you go to edit object, again go 2 times to the left and quick jump push. And make sure it's like 2 and then again quick 2 times back and quick jump release. That will make us go forward when we hold and then release as well, which is good. Now we want to assign different group IDs for these, but we will do that later. Alright. So now we just make arrows. Oh my god, they're here. I'll make both of these target one set of triggers. So obviously we need a spawn trigger. Then we need a move trigger. Now this move trigger is actually kind of that this trigger movement is actually I think kind of overrated or underrated, whatever. Like people never use direction mode or like camera mode in these. I'm not sure though. Maybe they do, but meh. Okay. So now we have to assign a free group to the spawn, which will be 3 and 4. So make sure to assign spawn to group 3 and move trigger to group 3 as well. Free group, not free, both to free, like free the number. Free, assign them to a free group, not a free number. So we want both of these to point to 3. Then make both of these spawn triggered with multi triggers. And this spawn trigger, hold on. This spawn trigger is gonna target the move trigger. Okay. And the move trigger will move the actual arrow, I mean the actual thing, oops, to this move trigger will actually move the arrow to the the place. And now we have these. This is group 4. Now this will move group 2 in the direction. Now the center group ID be 1 and the target position group ID will be 2. And this will actually be 1. Now make the distance positive 10. Now, if we run it, we might see it working immediately. But then you see it just changes changes places. And we don't obviously don't want that. So we add a follow trigger that the arrow is gonna follow this. What? Oh my god. Infinity, yeah. Okay, now I am not sure if the break. Never mind, it works. And boom, that's how you make a moving move. That's how you make some controls in Geometry Dash. Now you might also want to add a smiley face to your little guy. So let's do that. First go to groups, go to the layer 0 I think. And then search for the smiley face here, which is here. Now it will probably be under the block, so we make it this key 3, and this will be above the block. Now you can scale or warp it if you want. I'll just make it a little bigger. And now we want to go to the group and add and make it a next free group, just 5 somehow. And then we just add another fall trigger with the set group with the target group ID being 5 and the fall group ID being all 1 again. And now our smile won't follow the thing. What did I do wrong? Oh, because I didn't set the time and it needs to be set to infinity. Can you infinity? No. So if you can, just enter as many nines as you possibly can. Click OK, and if you insert a lot with the text length tag, that should be infinity. Now if you don't have the text length tag, just set it to the maximum number, and it should work. But if it doesn't, I'm not sorry, I don't know. And now our map follows the player, but if we go far, we see that we don't see our guy anymore. So what we do is we add a guide camera into our guy and assign it a free group, just 6. And then go to group 5. This is our trigger group, and add a static camera, then edit object, and click follow. Then make the E thing something big, something pretty big, like 4004, and make the duration 1. I haven't experimented with this yet, so I'm not sure how this will kind of work. Now I also forgot to make another follow trigger for the camera. So yeah, you have that. Now it follows the guy, but we still want the static camera. It's because we did set the target group ID to 6. Now let's see. Now it actually goes to the guy and follows the guy. Let's go. Now I might see that's a little bit too smooth for your liking. So let's fix that. We just make the easing way smaller. And then see? It works. It works just fine. Now after a couple seconds, I think it might turn off. I'm not sure. as I told you, I haven't experimented with this yet. Now, if you want small stuff, or want to not go when you release, that's pretty easy. You just delete this event trigger right here, I think, and then it just stops you from releasing, from going when you release. Yes, that's simple. As you can see, the camera is working fine. Now you can experiment here with every single one of these, but I'm just gonna leave it as it is. And yeah, that's how you make basic controls in Geometry Dash. But you probably won't see the errors and the text, but you can just delete those after you make it. But you don't see, but the triggers that you don't see, which is good, because in gameplay they just appear. Now, boom, that's how you make basic controls in Geometry Dash with a simple amount of triggers. Now, if you wanted it to also have collisions, we can do that. First, insert a First, go to layer 5 and insert the collision trigger. Now, make it somewhere back here. Make sure it isn't here because it will trigger after time, and we want it to trigger immediately. I mean, always and immediately. And now, you probably just looked over this in the trigger section, but I always looked over it. This is a collision block. When it touches another block, it will output a signal, which is literally just activated the trigger. It's all group. And now we go edit object and add a free block ID. Then add this one another free block ID. It doesn't have to be any new group ID. You can just put 1 and 2 or 2 and 1. Now we go into the collision trigger, and block A I set to 2, so we set this to 2, and block B I set to 1, so I set 1. Now basically what this does, if these two touch, they will basically just trigger a trigger. Now we can basically just make this follow the player forever, and it'll just work. So let's do that. It's probably a free group. Never mind, it's a free group 8. So let's do 8. And now this collision block should follow the player. I don't see it anywhere though. That's because collision blocks are in layer 5. I forgot to switch it. There we go. Now this will be 2 and this will be 1. Make sure you also set the dynamic block. Now it doesn't follow the player yet because we didn't set a group. Now make sure you have all these follow triggers and the collision trigger, the static trigger. Now collision trigger, you can barely see it inside the player, but it follows. But we touch this cube, just nothing straight up happens. Now we want to push the player out of the block, not by rotating the arrow automatically and moving the player out. No, we want to move the player in, and without rotating the arrow, change the player back. Now, how do we do that exactly? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You just go to the collision trigger from before, at the move trigger right here. Make sure it's a spawn trigger as always. Make the move time 0. Make the target group ID. Make the target group ID the player, which is pretty simple. Just set to 1. Now we also want this to be direction mode, and the set group ID we set to 1, and the target position group as before, but this time we set the distance to -10. So instead of moving forwards, you move backwards. Why do we want this? Well, it won't trigger when we press a jump. It'll trigger when we touch the block. So that'll kind of be like collisions. Now I just added a free group, 7. And now, if we touch the block, nothing happens. Wow. Let's try adding small steps to the block. Nope, still not it. No, I forgot to set it to activate group. Now it will actually now it will actually move us out of the block. That's really easy to just not get moved out of the block. Make sure this is a multi-trigger. And boom, we got basic collisions working, kind of. Now if you spam really fast, you will be able to clip through the block, but I have no idea how to fix that, so you just have to stick with it, I guess. Now, from the left, from the right, it works really perfectly, but from the top and from the left, it just works kind of poorly. Now you can actually make a level with this. I'm just gonna try and do my best. I'm gonna make some of these. And I'll just make a simple maze. Kind of. Now, if we spawn in, we're in a maze that actually has collisions, which is pretty cool. And we can't go up. Now, if you're good enough, you can straight up just flip through here. By pressing the up and by pressing the jump key and the direction key at the same time fast enough, you'll be able to eventually flip out. Now you can actually go as high as you want, but the camera won't follow. So I don't recommend doing that. But boom, we're back in the maze. And yeah, that's basically, you can basically make a full-fledged level with this. Okay, well, this will be kind of hard. Let's see if it's possible. Now, when we immediately spawn it, you might see that we go back because it's detecting a collision, but our arrow is back here somehow. So it pushes out here. So a simple fix is just to add a tiny little step and it will work. So you can just extend this by 1 block, sure. And now you have a simple maze right here. Yeah, that's possible. That's actually really easy. You can also go as far as you want. And it could be a cool racing game to see who flips us fast. Who flips the fastest. This could be actually a pretty cool race. It somehow got multiplayer and geometry type working. Yeah.
Jajko w grzance czy grzanki z masełkiem? Czy jajko na bekonie, no?
Jajko na bekonie.
2?
No.
Marysia też 2? Jajka. Czy jedno? 2?
And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you next time.